Ambassador Jake Sullivan walked through the long hallway toward the main chamber of the Galactic Council. His black shoes clicked against the smooth metal floor. The walls around him were made of some alien material that glowed with soft blue light. He had walked this path many times before, but today felt different. Today might be the last time he would represent humanity in this place. Lisa Martinez followed behind him, her military uniform pressed and clean. She carried a small device that recorded everything they would hear and see. Her job was to watch and listen, not to speak. The council did not like when humans brought too many voices to their meetings. They said it was disrespectful to their ancient ways. The chamber doors opened with a soft hiss. Inside, the alien representatives sat in their designated spots around a circular room. The ceiling was high and curved like the inside of a giant egg. Lights from above made everything seem dreamlike and strange. Jake had never gotten used to the smell in this room, something like old metal mixed with flowers that had been dead for too long. Chancellor Vexthul sat at the highest seat. His body was tall and thin like a stick insect, but his head was large and round. His skin was pale gray and his eyes were completely black with no whites showing. When he spoke, his voice sounded like wind blowing through broken glass. "Human representative," Vexthul said without looking directly at Jake. "We have called this final session to deliver our decision." Jake walked to the center of the room where a small platform waited for him. He had stood on this platform hundreds of times over the past 10 years. He had argued for human rights here. He had begged for fair treatment here. He had tried to make deals here. Today, he would only listen. Around the chamber sat the other alien races that controlled the galaxy. The Korthax were large and covered in thick armor-like skin. They looked like walking tanks with too many arms. General Zekthor represented them today. His red eyes glowed in the dim light as he stared at Jake. The ethereals floated in the air instead of sitting. They had no solid bodies, just collections of energy that looked like ghosts made of starlight. Their representative was called Mind Speaker Velana. She spoke without moving any mouth because she had no mouth to move. Her words just appeared inside the heads of everyone in the room. The Volan Collective sent 3 representatives because they always did everything in groups. They looked like large insects but walked on 2 legs like humans. Their names were Trader Kex, Trader Vox, and Trader Nix. They whispered to each other constantly in their clicking language. Jake knew all of these beings. He had shared meals with some of them. He had laughed at their jokes and told them about human culture. He thought some of them were his friends. Today he would learn if friendship meant anything when power was involved. Chancellor Vexthul stood up slowly. His movement was smooth like liquid flowing upward. "The Council has reviewed the human expansion into the outer systems," he said. "We have studied your technology. We have watched your military grow. We have seen your colonies spread across space like a disease." Lisa shifted slightly behind Jake. Her hand moved toward the weapon on her belt, then stopped. This was not the time for fighting. This was the time for listening. "Your species has advanced too quickly," Vexthul continued. "Your quantum drive technology threatens the natural order of galactic travel. Your terraforming methods change worlds too fast. Your population grows without limit. Your military expands without permission." Jake wanted to speak, but he stayed quiet. Let them say everything they planned to say. Let them show their true feelings. General Zekthor stood up next. His voice was deep and sounded like rocks grinding together. "Human warriors fight without honor," he said. "They use weapons that kill from great distances. They hide behind technology instead of proving their strength in single combat. They are cowards who do not deserve to hold weapons." Mind Speaker Velana added her thoughts directly into everyone's minds. "Humans think too differently. They solve problems in ways that confuse the natural pattern of the universe. They create chaos where there should be order. They question authority when they should obey." The Volan traders clicked and whispered among themselves before Trader Kex spoke for all of them. "Human goods flood our markets with prices too low. Human traders make deals too quickly. Human merchants do not follow the proper customs of business. They disrupt the flow of commerce that has worked for thousands of years." Chancellor Vexthul raised one long arm for silence. "Therefore, the Council has decided that humanity must accept new restrictions. You will surrender your quantum drive technology to Council control. You will limit your population to no more than 50 billion across all worlds. You will place your military under Council oversight. You will cease expansion beyond your current 47 systems." Jake felt his heart beating faster, but his face stayed calm. He had expected something like this. Humanity had grown too strong too fast. The old powers in the galaxy felt threatened. If humanity accepts these terms, Bexthul continued, you will be allowed to remain as a member species under Council protection. If you refuse, you will face economic sanctions followed by military action to enforce compliance. The chamber fell silent. All eyes and sensors turned toward Jake. This was the moment he had been dreading and preparing for at the same time. Jake looked around the room at faces and forms he had known for years. These beings had eaten at his table when they visited Earth. They had praised human art and music. They had called humans their friends and allies. Now they wanted to put chains on his entire species. He cleared his throat and spoke in a calm, steady voice. I understand your position, he said. I will convey your terms to Earth, that was all. No arguments, no begging, no anger, just acceptance of their message. Bexthul seemed surprised by the simple response. He had expected Jake to argue or plead or threaten. You have 1 standard month to provide your answer, the Chancellor said. Jake nodded once. Understood, he said. Then he turned and walked toward the exit. Lisa followed him, still recording everything. As they left the chamber, she noticed something in Jake's walk. He moved like a man who knew a secret that no one else knew. She had seen that look before in military commanders who were about to spring a trap on their enemies. The doors closed behind them with a soft hiss. The last diplomatic session between humanity and the Galactic Council was over. Admiral Grace Thompson stood on the command deck of the UES Washington and watched the most impossible thing she had ever seen. On the main screen, 47 different star systems showed the same activity. Humans were leaving, all of them. At the same time, status report from Kepler 442 called out Lieutenant Kevin Brooks from his station. Colony evacuation 90% complete. All research data has been uploaded and secured. Grace nodded and turned to look at the tactical display. Green dots showed human ships moving away from every world they had ever settled. Red dots marked the locations where they were destroying everything they could not take with them. The plan had been in motion for 2 years. While Ambassador Jake Sullivan talked and argued with the Council, the real work had been happening in secret. Humanity had been preparing to disappear. Captain Amy Foster appeared on a communication screen. She was calling from the TRAPPIST-1 system, one of humanity's most important colonies. Admiral, we have finished loading the quantum communication arrays onto transport ships, she reported. All infrastructure will be destroyed in 6 hours. What about the people? Grace asked. Every human in the system is aboard evacuation ships, Amy replied. We found 3 alien observers trying to hide near the outer planets. We left them alone, but they will have an interesting story to tell. Grace smiled at that. Let the aliens wonder what they had witnessed. By the time anyone figured out what was happening, it would be too late to stop. Commander Ryan Peters was handling the most dangerous part of the operation. The mining colony on Wolf 359C produced rare metals that many alien species needed. If humans destroyed that facility, it would hurt the galactic economy badly. Peters, what is your status? Grace asked through the communication system. We have loaded every piece of valuable material onto cargo ships, Ryan replied. The automated mining equipment will be destroyed as planned. However, we are leaving behind a small gift. What kind of gift? Grace asked. A message beacon that will activate in 6 months, Ryan said with a grin that she could hear in his voice. It will broadcast the real survey data from this system. Turns out there are 3 times more rare metal deposits here than we ever reported. Grace understood immediately. The aliens would realize that humans had been hiding the true value of their discoveries. They would wonder what other secrets humanity had been keeping. Dr. Elena Rodriguez was coordinating the evacuation from a scientific research station near the edge of known space. Her job was the most important of all. She had to make sure that no alien would ever find the hidden human colonies. Rodriguez, are you ready to activate the deception protocols? Grace asked. All sensor networks are in place, Elena replied. When we leave, our fake energy signatures will make it look like we went toward the galactic core. In reality, all ships will use the new fold space drives to reach the staging areas. The fold space drives were humanity's greatest secret. While the aliens knew about human quantum drives, they had no idea that humans had developed something far more advanced. The fold space technology could move ships across the galaxy in days instead of months. Grace looked at the time display on her command screen. In 18 hours, the largest military operation in human history would be complete. Every human settlement, research station, mining operation, and military base would simply vanish. Lieutenant Nicole Barnes called out from the navigation station. "Admiral, we are receiving confirmation signals from all fleet groups. The evacuation is proceeding exactly on schedule. Any sign that the aliens have noticed anything unusual?" Grace asked. "No activity from Council monitoring stations," Nicole reported. "Their sensors are focused on normal shipping lanes. They have no idea what is happening in the outer systems." Grace felt proud of her species. Humans had always been good at keeping secrets and making plans. This operation proved they could work together on a scale never attempted before. Commander Tyler Johnson appeared on another communication screen. He was leading the evacuation of the industrial colonies in the Tau Ceti system. "Admiral, we have a problem," he said. Grace felt her heart skip a beat. "What kind of problem?" "We found a group of alien scientists studying our terraforming equipment," Tyler explained. "They have been here for weeks without our knowledge. They have learned too much about our technology. This was dangerous. If aliens understood human terraforming methods, they might be able to track where the evacuation fleets were going." "Capture them," Grace ordered. "Bring them with us. They can be returned safely after the operation is complete." "Understood," Tyler replied. "They will be treated well, but they cannot be allowed to report what they have seen." Grace turned to her communications officer. "Send a message to all fleet commanders. Any alien observers found during the evacuation are to be detained but not harmed. We are not leaving any witnesses behind." The bridge crew worked quietly and efficiently. Everyone knew how important this operation was. If it failed, humanity would face a war they could not win. If it succeeded, they would gain something more valuable than victory. They would gain freedom. Captain Marcus Webb sent an update from the Outer Rim territories. "Admiral, all deep space monitoring stations have been evacuated. The sensor networks that have been watching for extragalactic threats are being transferred to new locations." Grace knew that this was one of the most important parts of the plan. For decades, humans had been quietly defending the galaxy from threats that came from other galaxies. They had built secret bases and monitoring stations far beyond known space. The Council had no idea that humans were protecting them from dangers they did not even know existed. "Webb, make sure the new defensive positions are fully operational before you abandon the old ones," Grace ordered. "We cannot leave the galaxy undefended even for a few days." "Understood, Admiral," Marcus replied. "The new positions are already active. The galaxy will be protected." As the hours passed, the evacuation continued without any major problems. Human ships moved through space like ghosts, avoiding all the normal shipping lanes and communication channels. The aliens would not realize what had happened until it was far too late. Grace watched the tactical display as the last green dots began moving toward their final destinations. In a few more hours, there would be no humans left in any system known to the Galactic Council. "Admiral," called Lieutenant Brooks, "we are receiving the final confirmation signals." "All evacuations are complete." Grace took a deep breath. "Begin Phase 2, she ordered. "Destroy all remaining infrastructure and activate the sensor deception networks." Across 47 star systems, explosions lit up the darkness of space. Human colonies, research stations, military bases, and industrial facilities were reduced to debris and dust. In a few places, the explosions were so large they could be seen from nearby star systems. The sensor deception networks began broadcasting false signals that would confuse any alien attempts to track the evacuation fleets. To outside observers, it would look like the humans had fled toward the center of the galaxy, where they would eventually reach Earth. But Earth was not their destination. Earth had been evacuated months earlier. The entire solar system had been abandoned and made to look like it was dying from environmental collapse. "All ships, prepare for fold space jump," Grace announced to the entire fleet. "Destination coordinates are locked in. We are going home." But home was not a place the aliens had ever seen or even imagined. Home was 300 hidden star systems in the Galactic Rim, where humanity had been building a new civilization for the past 20 years. The fold space drives activated simultaneously across all human ships. In an instant, the largest evacuation in galactic history was complete. Humanity had vanished without a word. Chancellor Vexthul stood in his private chambers staring at reports that made no sense. 6 months had passed since the humans had been given their ultimatum. 6 months of complete silence. His long fingers traced across the data screen, searching for any sign of human activity in known space. There was nothing. Not a single human ship. Not one human message. Not even a distress signal from their colonies. Trade Minister Colvin of the Volan Collective rushed into the chamber without waiting for permission. His insect-like face was twisted with worry. "Chancellor, we have a crisis," he said in his clicking voice. "The human trade goods have completely stopped flowing through our markets." Vexthul turned to face the worried alien. "Surely other species can produce the same items," he said. "No, they cannot," Colvin replied. "We tried to replace human medical scanners with Korthax equipment. The alien models are slower, less accurate, and cost 5 times more. We tried to replace human food synthesizers with ethereal technology. The food tastes terrible, and the machines break down constantly." Vexthul felt a cold sensation in his chest. "What about their industrial equipment?" "Even worse," Colvin said. "Human mining tools could extract materials from asteroids 3 times faster than anything else available. Their construction robots could build stations in half the time of other models. Without human industry, our construction projects are falling behind schedule." The Chancellor walked to his window and looked out at the stars. When he had delivered the ultimatum to humanity, he had expected them to surrender or fight. He had never expected them to simply disappear. General Zekthor of the Korthax entered the chamber with heavy footsteps. His armor clanked as he moved. "Chancellor, my scouts have returned from the human systems," he said in his rumbling voice. "What did they find?" Vexthul asked. "Nothing," Zekthor replied. "Every human colony has been abandoned. Every research station has been destroyed. Even their home world of Earth appears to be uninhabitable." Vexthul felt the cold sensation grow stronger. "Uninhabitable how?" "The atmosphere is full of toxic gases," Zekthor explained. "The oceans are boiling. The continents are covered in volcanic activity. It appears the humans destroyed their own planet rather than surrender it." Mind Speaker Velana appeared in the chamber, her energy form flickering with agitation. "The truth is worse than that," she said directly into their minds. "I have been analyzing the sensor data from Earth. The environmental collapse was carefully controlled. The humans did not destroy their world in anger. They made it look destroyed on purpose." Vexthul sat down heavily in his chair. "What are you saying?" "I am saying the humans planned this," Velana replied. "They evacuated Earth months before our ultimatum. They made it appear that they died with their world, but they actually disappeared completely." Trade Minister Colvin began clicking nervously. "If they planned this, then where did they go? Our long-range sensors show no human ships anywhere in known space." General Zekthor activated a holographic display that showed a map of the galaxy. "My military scouts have been searching for 3 months," he said. "We have found evidence of human activity in systems we thought were empty." Red dots appeared on the galactic map, scattered across the outer rim territories. "These systems were supposed to be too dangerous or too poor in resources for colonization," Zekthor continued. "But we found the remains of large industrial facilities. We found the debris of massive space stations. We found evidence of terraforming on worlds we thought were lifeless." Vexthul stared at the red dots. "There were hundreds of them." "How long have they been in those systems?" "Based on the evidence, at least 20 years, Zekthor replied. "While we thought humanity controlled 47 systems, they actually controlled over 300. The room fell silent as the aliens processed this information. Humanity had been lying to them for decades. They had been building a secret empire while pretending to be a minor species that needed council protection. Mind Speaker Velana added more disturbing news. "I have been monitoring our deep space sensors. We are detecting massive energy signatures moving through the galactic rim, ships larger than anything in our fleets. Technology we do not recognize," Trade Minister Colvin spoke up. "Chancellor, there is something else. Human Dr. Elena Rodriguez was supposed to remain behind as a cultural observer. She has been living on Nexus Prime for the past 6 months. Yesterday she requested permission to send a message to the council." Vexthul straightened in his chair. "What message?" Colvin activated a communication device. The image of Dr. Elena Rodriguez appeared in the center of the room. She was a middle-aged human woman with gray hair and kind eyes, but her expression was serious and sad. "Members of the Galactic Council," Elena said in the recording, "you wanted us gone. We are gone, but you never asked what we were protecting you from out here in the dark. Now you will find out." Elena paused and looked directly at the camera. For 50 years, humanity has been defending this galaxy from threats that come from outside. Automated war fleets from the Andromeda Galaxy have been trying to invade our space. We have been quietly destroying them before they could reach your worlds. Bexthel felt his blood turn to ice. We stopped them because it was the right thing to do, Elena continued. We built defensive networks across the galactic rim. We established early warning systems. We created rapid response fleets that could stop invasions before they began. The human woman held up a data pad covered with star charts. This shows the real extent of human expansion. Not 47 systems, but over 300. Every one of them was positioned to defend against extragalactic threats. Elena put down the data pad and folded her hands. Now we are gone. Our defensive networks are gone. Our early warning systems are gone. Our rapid response fleets are gone. You are alone in the dark, and the things we were protecting you from are coming. The recording ended, leaving the alien leaders staring at each other in horror. General Zekthor was the first to speak. Is this possible? Could there really be threats from other galaxies? Mind Speaker Velana flickered with fear. I have been detecting unusual energy patterns at the edge of our sensor range. Patterns that do not match any known technology. Trade Minister Colvin clicked frantically. If the humans were telling the truth, then removing them was the worst mistake in galactic history. Vexthel stood up and walked to the window again. In the distance, he could see the lights of ships moving between the stars. But now those lights looked smaller and more fragile than before. Send messages to all council members, he ordered. Call an emergency session. We need to understand what we have done. As the other aliens left to carry out his orders, Vexthel remained at the window. For the first time in his long life, he felt truly afraid. The council had ruled the galaxy for thousands of years. They had believed they were the most powerful civilization that had ever existed. Now they were learning that they had been children playing in a garden, protected by guardians they had never bothered to notice. And they had driven those guardians away. Outside his window, the stars seemed colder and more distant than they had ever been before. 2 years had passed since humanity disappeared, and the Galactic Council was dying. Chief Economist Veltar stood before the emergency assembly, with reports that painted a picture of complete economic collapse. His hands shook as he held the data tablets. The galactic economy has shrunk by 40%, he announced to the gathered representatives. Without human manufacturing, our industrial output has dropped to levels not seen in centuries. Chancellor Vexthel looked older than his many years. The stress of governing a crumbling civilization had worn him down to almost nothing. What about replacement production from other species? He asked weakly. Impossible, Veltar replied. Human factories used manufacturing techniques we still do not understand. Their quantum assemblers could build complex machines in hours. Our best facilities need months to create the same products. Trade Minister Colvin spoke up from his position near the back of the chamber. Medical supplies are critically short across all member worlds. Human medical scanners and surgical robots saved millions of lives every year. Without them, our hospitals are failing. General Zekthor added his own grim news. Military equipment shortages are affecting every fleet. Human weapons were more efficient and reliable than anything else available. Our ships are being retrofitted with inferior systems. Vexthel closed his eyes and tried to remember when he had felt confident about the future. It seemed like a lifetime ago. The main communication screen activated without warning. A face appeared that made everyone in the chamber freeze with shock. Admiral Marcus Webb of the human fleet looked out at them from an unknown location. Behind him, they could see the bridge of a warship unlike anything they had ever seen. Members of the Galactic Council, Marcus said in a calm voice, I am transmitting this message from the Galactic Rim. I want you to understand what you have lost. Marcus gestured to someone off-screen. The view changed to show a tactical display covered with red dots. These are Andromedan scout fleets, he explained. Automated war machines from another galaxy. They have been probing our space for over 50 years. Vexthel leaned forward in his chair. We have never detected any such threats, he said to the screen, though he knew Marcus could not hear him. As if reading his thoughts, Marcus continued. You never detected them because we stopped them before they could reach your sensors. Every red dot on this display represents a battle fought by human forces. Battles you never knew were happening. The display zoomed in to show detailed combat records. Massive robot ships shaped like dark pyramids fought against human vessels. The alien ships were larger, but the human ships were faster and smarter. Captain Nicole Barnes appeared beside Marcus on the screen. For decades, we established early warning networks throughout the galactic rim, she said. We built automated defense platforms. We created rapid response fleets that could intercept threats before they penetrated deep into inhabited space. Marcus took control again. When we left Council space, we also left our defensive positions. The Andromedan probes have been getting through ever since. The tactical display changed to show current activity. Red dots were moving deeper into the galaxy than ever before. Some had already reached the outer edges of Council territory. Commander Tyler Johnson joined the transmission. 3 days ago, an Andromedan fleet destroyed the colony on Regulus Prime. The attack lasted 6 hours. There were no survivors. Vexthul felt his heart stop beating. Regulus Prime was home to 12 million Korthax citizens. General Zekthor had not reported its destruction. Marcus continued with more devastating news. The Andromedans are not explorers or traders. They are a machine intelligence that consumes entire galaxies. They strip worlds of all useful materials and convert the matter into more war machines. Captain Nicole Barnes held up a datapad. Our analysis suggests the Andromedan main fleet contains over 1 million warships. Each ship is the size of a small moon. If they succeed in establishing a permanent foothold in our galaxy, every living world will be consumed. Tyler Johnson added, The scout fleets we have been fighting are just the advance guard. They are mapping our defenses and looking for weak points. Now that our early warning systems are gone, they are finding plenty of weak points. Marcus looked directly into the camera. However, humanity did not abandon you completely. When we left Council space, we established new defensive positions deeper in the galactic rim. We have been building a defensive line that the Andromedans cannot cross. The view changed to show human ships and space stations spread across thousands of light years. The technology was clearly far beyond anything the Council had ever seen. Ships that looked like they were made of liquid metal, stations that bent space around themselves, weapons that fired beams of pure energy. We spent the last 2 years not just hiding from you but preparing for the real war, Marcus explained. We have allied with species you have never heard of. We have developed technologies that make our old quantum drives look primitive. We have built a civilization specifically designed to fight the Andromedan threat. Captain Nicole Barnes spoke again. But our new defensive line only protects the outer rim territories. The inner systems where you live are still vulnerable. Andromedan scouts have already penetrated deep into Council space. Vexthul found his voice. If this is true, why are you telling us? We treated you badly. We drove you away. Marcus seemed to hear the question somehow. Because despite everything, we are not monsters. We will not let entire civilizations die, just because their leaders made poor decisions. Commander Tyler Johnson held up a communication device. We are prepared to offer limited protection to Council worlds. Our rapid response fleets can intercept Andromedan attacks if you request assistance. But you must understand that we are no longer your subjects or your allies. We are your equals offering help. Marcus looked stern. The old Council system is over. The idea that humans should submit to alien authority is over. If you want our protection, you will treat us as equal partners in a new galactic confederation. Captain Nicole Barnes added, We have also developed new technologies that can help your worlds defend themselves. Advanced shields, automated defense platforms, early warning sensors. But these technologies come with a price. Tyler Johnson explained the price. Any world that receives human protection must agree to treat all species as equals. No more superior races, no more inferior races. Everyone works together, or everyone faces the Andromedans alone. Marcus stepped closer to the camera. You have 72 hours to decide. After that, we will assume that the Council prefers to handle the Andromedan threat without human assistance. The transmission ended, leaving the chamber in complete silence. Trade Minister Colvin was the first to speak. Is it true? Did Regulus Prime really get destroyed? General Zekthor looked down at his communication device. His face was pale. I received reports of communication failures from the Regulus system. I thought it was just equipment problems. Chief Economist Veltar reviewed his data tablets. If the humans are telling the truth about their defensive activities, then our economic models were completely wrong. We thought we were the dominant civilization in this galaxy. In reality, we were being protected by a species we considered primitive. Mind Speaker Velana appeared in the chamber. her energy form flickering with distress. I have been analyzing the sensor data from the outer territories. There are massive energy signatures consistent with the human claims. Something is moving toward us from the space between galaxies. Chancellor Vexthal stood up slowly. Call for an immediate vote of all council members. The question before us is simple. Do we accept human terms for a new galactic confederation, or do we face the Andromedan threat alone? As the alien representatives began arguing among themselves, Vexthal walked to the chamber's window. In the distance, he could see stars going dark one by one as Andromedan scouts consumed everything in their path. The Council had ruled the galaxy for thousands of years, but their reign was ending. The only question now was whether they would end it with dignity or with complete destruction. 5 years after humanity vanished from Council space, Chancellor Vexthal sat alone in what remained of the Galactic Council chambers. Half of the seats stood empty. The Korthax homeworld had been consumed by Andromedan machines. The ethereal energy beings had fled to unknown dimensions. 3 of the Volan trade worlds had gone silent after desperate distress calls. The great chamber that once hosted hundreds of alien representatives now held only a dozen survivors. They huddled together on one side of the room like frightened children. Outside the windows, the space around Nexus Prime was filled with human warships unlike anything the Council had ever imagined. Fleet Admiral Patricia Stevens materialized in the center of the chamber using some kind of transportation technology that bent light and space. She wore a uniform made of materials that seemed to absorb starlight. Her presence filled the room with quiet authority. "Chancellor Vexthal," she said in a voice that was both respectful and commanding, "I have come to discuss the future of what remains of your civilization." Vexthal looked up at her with eyes that had seen too much death and destruction. "We accept your terms," he said quietly. "What is left of the Council agrees to join your new Galactic Confederation as equal members." Patricia nodded, but did not smile. "Before we can move forward, you need to understand what humanity has become during our 5 years in exile." The air in the chamber shimmered, and suddenly they were surrounded by holographic displays showing the human civilization that had grown in the galactic rim, cities that floated in space without need for planets, ships that could travel between galaxies in days instead of years, defensive networks that spanned entire spiral arms. Dr. Alex Chen appeared beside Patricia, his image projected from somewhere far away. "We did not spend 5 years hiding from you," he explained. "We spent 5 years building the most advanced civilization this galaxy has ever seen." Trade Minister Colvin, one of the few Volan survivors, clicked nervously. "How is this possible? Your species is only a few hundred years old." Alex gestured to the holographic displays around them. "We learned from the other species that live beyond your knowledge. The galaxy is much larger and more populated than you ever realized. While you controlled the inner systems, hundreds of other civilizations thrived in the outer territories," Patricia added. "We formed alliances with beings you dismissed as primitive or dangerous. The crystal entities of the Magellanic clouds taught us how to manipulate space-time. The machine intelligence of the Perseus arm shared their computational technologies. The energy vampires of the void regions showed us how to harness dark matter." Vexthal felt smaller with each revelation. "We never knew." "You never looked," Patricia replied without cruelty. "The Council assumed it knew everything about the galaxy. You measured other species by their willingness to submit to your authority. You never considered that truly advanced civilizations might simply choose to avoid you." Dr. Alex Chen activated new displays showing the current state of the galaxy. "The Andromedan invasion has been stopped at our defensive line. No more of their ships will penetrate into the inner systems. But the cost of protection is permanent change." General Marcus Webb joined the holographic conference from the command deck of humanity's flagship. The ship behind him was so large that it looked like a small artificial planet. "The old system where some species ruled over others is finished forever," he announced. "Every world, every civilization, every individual has equal rights in the new confederation." Mind Speaker Valana flickered into the chamber, her energy form much weaker than it had been years before. "What about species like mine that require different types of existence? Can we find a place in this new system?" Patricia turned to address her directly. "The Confederation includes energy beings, machine intelligences, crystal entities, and dozens of other forms of life. Diversity makes us stronger, not weaker. Alex brought up new displays showing the structure of the Confederation government. Leadership rotates among all member species. Decisions are made by consensus, not by the dominance of powerful races. Resources are shared based on need, not on political influence. Trade Minister Colvin asked the question that worried him most. What about trade? What about our economies? Patricia smiled for the first time since arriving. Human technology can solve most scarcity problems. Our matter converters can create any material from basic elements. Our automated factories can produce anything you need. The economy of the Confederation is based on sharing knowledge and experiences, not on competing for limited resources. Vexithul struggled to understand the implications. You are saying that want and poverty could be eliminated? For any species that joins the Confederation, yes, Alex replied. But membership requires giving up the idea that some beings are naturally superior to others. General Marcus Webb brought up tactical displays showing the ongoing war against the Andromedans. The machine fleets from Andromeda are still out there. They have been probing our defenses for months looking for weaknesses. The war is far from over. Patricia looked around at the surviving council members. We need every species working together if we are going to survive what is coming. The Andromedan main fleet is larger than anything this galaxy has ever faced. Vexthul stood up slowly, his old body protesting the movement. 5 years ago, we thought humanity needed our protection. We believed you were a young species that should be grateful for our guidance. Patricia waited for him to continue. Now we learn that you were protecting us all along. Vexthul continued. You were fighting battles we never knew about. You were building alliances we never imagined. You were growing into something we could never understand. The old chancellor walked to the center of the chamber, where he had once delivered humanity's ultimatum with such confidence. We drove away our protectors because we feared losing our power. We destroyed the best alliance we ever had because we could not accept equals. Dr. Alex Chen spoke gently. The past cannot be changed. But the future can still be shaped by the choices we make today. Patricia extended her hand toward Vexthul. The Confederation offers membership to all surviving council species. Not as subjects or as rulers, but as partners in building something better than what came before. Vexthul looked at her hand for a long moment. Taking it would mean admitting that everything the Council had believed about galactic order was wrong. It would mean accepting that humanity had surpassed them in every way that mattered, but it would also mean survival. It would mean hope. It would mean that the billions of beings who had died to Andromedan machines might not have died for nothing. He reached out and took Patricia's hand. The Council accepts, he said. What remains of our civilization joins your confederation as equal partners. Patricia smiled again, and this time her expression held genuine warmth. Welcome to the future. The holographic displays changed to show the new structure of galactic civilization. Hundreds of species working together, thousands of worlds united in common purpose, fleets beyond counting standing ready to defend their shared home. At the center of it all was humanity, no longer the primitive species that had once begged for recognition from the Council. They had become the guardians of the galaxy, the architects of a new age, the protectors of all life. Ambassador Jake Sullivan appeared in the chamber, now an old man but still carrying himself with dignity. 5 years ago, I stood in this room and accepted your ultimatum, he said to Vexthul. I told you I would convey your terms to Earth. Vexthul remembered that moment clearly. I did convey your terms, Jake continued. And Earth's response was to show you what humanity could accomplish when freed from your limitations. Jake looked around at the empty seats where proud alien representatives had once sat. You wanted us gone because you feared what we might become. Now you know what we became. He turned back to Vexthul with an expression of sad understanding. The question is, are you ready to treat us as the equals we always were, or would you prefer to face the dark alone? Vexthul bowed his head in acknowledgement of the old human's wisdom. The Council had paid dearly for their arrogance. They had lost their power, their pride, and half their people, but they had gained something more valuable than any of those things. They had gained a future. Outside the chamber windows, human ships moved through space like guardians of light, protecting a galaxy that had once rejected them. The age of the Galactic Council was over. The age of the Confederation had begun.